Hello and welcome to another episode of Ordinary Working Joe. Today's guest is Shella Randall of J. Randall Roofing Contractors. We're going to have a conversation and she's going to tell us everything she knows about roofing and the industry. Shella, welcome.
Hello, nice to be here.
You okay? How are you?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Tell us about you and the company. Introduce yourself.
Of me, as you said, Shella Randall. Company started as Joby Randall, in fairness, J. Randall Roofing Contractors. We are originally from just outside London, moved here about 25 years ago. Joby had a business there, smaller business there in London at the time. And he commuted for a few years and then decided it didn't work for us anymore. So he came here, started up on a smaller scale here in domestic. And at that time, my background's bookkeeping, to be quite honest with you. That's what I did.
Oh, okay.
I was a bookkeeper. And I used to do many companies, actually, smaller companies, travel around and do smaller companies in Wales. I've done a bit of estate agents in between, but I mainly done books. And he didn't really do commercial. He was mainly domestic, like I say. And he actually used to work for a competitor as a labourer only.
Oh, yeah.
And there was just a gang of 2 or 3 of them. Gradually he grew and he got a little bit bigger. And I always did his books from the beginning.
Normal,
yeah. Normal stuff.
Standard stuff.
We have 4 kids, so we were running around with 4 kids. I always worked full time. Joby always worked full time. And so his stuff was really in the evening. I was regularly in bed at 11 o'clock at night with a laptop doing Joby's books after doing everybody else's. And I think he just grew and grew, and eventually I moved over to work with him more. When we incorporated, then we
formalised the company.
We formalised the company. We then were both directors, and we're both partners in it.
Yeah. Good. Okay. And you're on frameworks and everything else now for local authorities?
We're on frameworks. We're commercial. We're predominantly commercial. We don't really do a lot of domestic from where Joby started anymore, to be quite honest. So we've got frameworks with local councils. We do a lot of work through tender processes, through main contractors, all larger scale works now, really. We do the odd smaller thing. If we do domestic, it tends to be on a new build. They might be building a house on the Gow or those kind of things, where a lot of people have green roofs now, biodiverse roofs. So we do them for what I would call domestic property, higher end clients. But in general, we tend to be commercially based.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we get that. And the family pretty much all work with you?
Pretty much all work with me.
I know Jake, obviously.
So we've got my son Jake, who is the contracts manager. My other son works for us on the roofs. Jake used to be on the roofs and progressed to contracts manager. My sister is our operations manager, HR, deals with a lot of the quality, social value, that kind of stuff. Yeah. My niece, she started actually working as Joby's PA.
Okay.
And after a while, I had to come away from doing the books and the accounts because we got too busy in other areas, and I had to adapt myself to other areas. So I trained her to do bookkeeping and accounts.
Oh, okay.
And she's presently doing an AAT actually, but she started with training for me. So she does all of our accounts. My soon-to-be son-in-law works in the project management department. So that's Greg.
Greg? Okay.
Yeah, Greg's marrying my daughter next year. My daughter did work for us for about 6 months, but I sacked her after 6 months because I realised that she did not have any intention of really wanting to work for us, and I wasn't doing her any justice by allowing her to, really. So I told her to go and find something she wanted to do.
But fair.
Harsh, but it works. She does something she really likes doing now. And then, of course, my other son's a rugby player, so he doesn't work for us and has no interest whatsoever in working for us.
A professional rugby player,
he is, yeah. But we have very long-standing staff. Mark, who's our senior estimator in the office, he's the one who was number 2 with Joby when we started. He's worked for us since he was 16, so he's over 20 years now, about 22 years, I think he's been with us. And we've got quite a few other guys who've been with us a long, long time. But yeah, fundamentally family at the core. Yeah. And then, to be honest, all our staff are family because they've been with us such a long time.
But overall now there's got to be 40, 45 staff?
There's about that, yeah.
Yeah. It's quite a big outfit now.
It's quite a big outfit now. It's quite a lot of responsibility and quite a decent sized business, yeah.
Joby always had his own company. Didn't really work for anyone else.
He worked for his dad when I met him. He worked for his dad. His dad was in lagging and insulation. Okay. He used to work in the city a lot, Job, doing that. So he worked for his dad for the first few years. His mum passed away when he was quite young, Joby. He was 23, I think. And his dad closed the business down when his mum died.
Oh, really?
So he had to reinvent himself, and Job's good at reinventing himself. He's a people person, Job.
Yeah.
Picks things up quick, quite a clever guy. Not traditional school guy, didn't have any GCSEs, left school early. Spent a lot of time painting canoes in school rather than actually in the classroom, I think. But it takes all sorts, and he's done really well in that respect. He learns, and when he wants to learn, there's nothing he won't know, but he's got to be interested. And once he's interested in something, there's nothing he doesn't know about it, you know. So he's pretty self-taught, and he started just domestically, like I say. He joined with another guy, Barry, who was a character in our, doing just the odd little roof, UPVC guttering, all that kind of stuff, and it just grew from there.
You work for other people, but you got to that stage where there was enough work for you to jump over and join the company.
We started, when JB first started, RAMs in the nicest possible way probably did exist, but not, you know.
The domestic market is still like
domestic
that.
market, yeah, domestic market is definitely still like it. He then went slightly commercial, and he was a subby only, and they never asked subby for RAMs. You always worked under their RAMs. And then he won a job for himself. And he was all of a sudden asked for some RAMs, and in the nicest possible way, Joe was like, I don't even know where to start. So then it came over to me, and I'd done a lot of research, and so I started doing our RAMs then.
If only there had been an easier way to do it.
Easier way to do it then,
yeah.
So I started doing our RAMs. We had a very small health and safety thing then, and I started doing the RAMs on as well as I was still doing.
It does seem to be the traditional model, doesn't it?
It was kind of somebody in-house learns. Yeah, you try.
The wife does it.
The wife does it.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. Yeah.
I keep trying to explain this to Beth.
It does
we
work a lot.
We can also market to the wives.
You can, to be quite honest with you, because it's kind of and the wives involved, especially when you're smaller, it kind of underestimates how much they have to do to hold that. Up. You do it. When I think now, the amount of time I sat in bed at 12, 1 o'clock at night, either writing RAMs, doing books, doing stuff. I just had to learn. Yeah. You know, and I did learn. You know, no one taught me. I learnt myself.
I suppose you learn then the hard way through rejection.
Yeah, you do.
You get a health and safety person that sends them back to you.
Yeah, and they say it's wrong, and I don't like getting things wrong, so you just you say it's wrong, and I am a learner, and like you say, I am self-taught, but I do like to learn until you get to a stage where you sit back, you have to get to a stage where you go, that's beyond me now. You know, you have to. Yeah, the commercial work's a bit more technical. The commercial world is completely different. We then started to tender work, and so a PPQ then would come through the door. And generally, the first PPQ that came through the door, it had questions about health and safety, questions about environment, all of this kind of stuff. I cried. I said, you cannot expect me to do this. I don't even know where to start. I don't know what I'm doing.
Half of it's written in another language.
I've done books all my life. Yeah. This is completely different from anything I've ever known. But we got through it and we won the job. And that was the first time we ever needed a construction phase. Which is when I said to him, no, now this is different level for me. Yeah. And the first construction phase we ever done, Mark, who I said to you now is our senior estimator, he managed the site. Week 2, we had a HSE inspection.
Oh, Jesus Christ, wife.
And it was the first one we'd ever done. Just bad luck, isn't it? It was really bad luck, it was. But we got through it, and in fairness, they weren't so harsh then. They kind of taught us rather than, and we'd done pretty well for considering it was our first construction phase. First site. Yeah. You know us. I've always taken that kind of stuff quite seriously, and not just said, oh, it's there for the sake of it. I've always wanted to try and do things to the best of our ability for what we've got at the time. Then I had to say, okay, I need to leave what I'm doing. I need to stop. Yeah. Because this is just, I can't keep doing this till 1 o'clock in the morning. We need to make a decision.
And that's when you formalised the company.
And that's when we formalised the company.
Joined forces.
And we joined forces,
And became the formidable pair you are today.
Yes, we are, yeah.
And then started taking the bloody kids on.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
What lessons have you learned? What are the big lessons you've learned in the time you've been a director?
I think for me is knowing what your boundaries are. Mm. Try to learn that quickly. We probably didn't learn quite quick enough of what you're good at and what you're not good at.
Recognising your own limitations.
And recognising those limitations and recognising, certainly within our business, I'm not a saleswoman. And I'm not a big people person. I'm fine when I know people, once I've got to know people, but I'm not the initial. People either like or don't like Jamie within 5 or 10 minutes, but he is a people person and he can sell and he is very good at what he does and he engages and brings people in, but he can run away with it.
Yeah.
I have to pull that back.
Okay.
And we learned that dynamic is important. You need people within a business who can. We recently started a different business, and we're closing it because there was nobody in that business who could do what Joby can do.
Which is what? Drive it on.
Drive. Have the ability to say, okay, all on black. I'm like, oh, no way. I can't put everything on black at all. I can't. Here go, yeah, come on, let's go. Let's put it all on black. And I'm like, well, let's wind that in a little bit. And it takes somebody with that drive and that vision, I've learned, to create business.
Yeah.
But without people like me who can pull everything back and hold up and look at infrastructure and go, should we go that far yet? Can we afford to? Have we got the infrastructure to? Then you can push yourself too quickly, too far.
Double active, haven't you, of the driver and the controller.
He came to me, I remember after a couple of years of me working for us, it coming to me and somebody had asked us to do a £500,000 project. And I remember as husband and wife having a big barney about it. Because he was going, we're doing it.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We're doing it. We're fine, get someone else to work with you then, because we're not doing it. We can't financially afford to fund it.
Yeah.
We haven't got the infrastructure internally to do it. And it's going to push us to a limit we shouldn't be at. And in the end, we didn't do it. And I still stand by at the time, it was the right decision because we'd have pushed ourselves too quickly, too far. Without Job always wanting that, we probably wouldn't be where we were because I'm too cautious.
Absolutely.
I'm too cautious. But it takes me being cautious. I still believe if we had done at that time, it would have been too much for us.
So he's the excited puppy and you're the person holding the leash.
I am, yeah. I'm the serious one who has to always say no or bring it in, and you learn to adapt to that role, and it is what it is.
What was the leap then? So it was a £500,000 contract. What were you working on typically then?
Hundreds. £100,000 contracts at the time.
Yeah, it's a big jump, isn't it?
It was a big jump. It was a big jump. And for Job, nothing's a big jump, which makes business, which is good. But actually, you do have to realise what your limitations are at the time. I've seen so many businesses go from zero to turn. I've got friends who say, I'm turning over millions. Doesn't mean anything.
No, you might not be making any money.
Because you might not make anything.
Yeah.
So you can turn over millions and millions and millions, but if you're not actually fundamentally making anything, and it's putting such a strain on your business to do that, because the infrastructure's not there, why are you doing it? So we had a few battles like that early on, because he was and I was a pullback. But like I say, fundamentally it works. But it very much, like I said, you learn your strengths and weaknesses within a business. And I think the biggest thing for me I've learned along the way is be honest about what you're good and not good at.
Yeah.
And then find people who are good at it.
To fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
If you could go back and give your younger self some advice, what would you say?
Oh God, well, don't start. I think if I could go back and say that, I think probably I would have people who were good at things around me earlier, recognise that earlier, learn about myself earlier. I think the pressure, some of it's being able to afford the people, which is difficult.
Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
It's really difficult in business of when do you take more people on, every person I've ever took on within the business, I've sat there and said, I'm not going to have enough work for.
Yeah, okay.
I'm on about internally more than externally.
I see that, yeah.
Every single time I've employed, I'm like, I can't employ another person to do that because there's just not enough work for them. And then you notice quite quickly there is enough work for them.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who has their own business, who started as their own business, will stretch themselves too far. We all do that. It's part and parcel of it. But sometimes you can stretch yourself in areas which are a lot better with somebody else. If I could look back now, I probably would have got people involved. I mean, Monique got involved with us early when she came with us, basically because I was so stretched to the limit. I had a really bad car accident and she gave up her job and said, that's it, you need help. It took something bad to happen and for her to say, what are you doing?
Someone else had to tell you.
Had to tell me. Yeah. I think you can push yourself too much, too far. And it's good. I wish I'd noticed earlier.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I found that hard, yes. Because starting on my own, and you try and build the business up.
Yeah, you do.
Because, money's handy.
It is, yeah.
And then you get to that point where you just think, I don't think I can do any more hours.
Yeah.
Because you physically can't.
You physically can't. Yeah.
Because you never turn your brain off.
No, you don't. And we never, both myself and Joby, our brains were never switched off.
Yeah, and what I found then was it's a crap way to put it, but it was limiting my own thinking about how I push the company on.
100%. And you don't do everything as well as you can do it because you're trying to do too much.
Yeah, because
you don't often take a step back to look and think, what do we need?
Yeah, it's a problem, especially in my game. If you're not really thinking about the work, you're going to miss something that's fundamental.
Fundamental, yeah, especially.
And then if an accident happens on site,
yeah,
the liability will come back on me.
Yeah,
because I didn't think about it in the first place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I knew that I needed help, which is why there's now other people around.
Yeah.
To help.
And I think that is definitely probably one of the hardest things I would think for anybody about starting, owning, running a business. You never feel like you can afford to employ anybody else.
No.
You're always frightened. If you don't come from that background, you're always frightened. Am I going to have to get rid of them in 6 months because I'm not earning the money to pay them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you kind of almost don't back yourself. Whereas Job, like I say, would be, oh yeah, employ 10 people. Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah,
I'd be like, I can't afford to employ one. Why are you telling me to employ 10?
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
Yeah.
He's a will make it work person.
Yeah.
And we have made it work. But I do think, like I say, you should be more honest with yourself quite early about what your needs and what your capabilities are, and also not pushing yourself to those extremes.
Okay, so challenges, future challenges to the business itself. What do you see?
Labour.
Yeah,
and not just to our business, in construction in general.
Something we discussed earlier, isn't it? Labour.
Labour is a really big issue, and training new people. It's a really big issue. In our industry, it's difficult. We have a young guy now who's just started his apprenticeship. We try and take apprentices on every year, every 2 years. That's becoming more and more difficult.
Is that because there's less applicants?
There's less applicants.
Yeah.
As much as minimum wage is a fantastic thing, it's also a hindrance for businesses, in certain businesses, because the gap between the people who are really skilled and the apprentices is becoming less and less.
Yeah.
But you can't charge that out because you won't win work. So that gap's becoming bigger, and people can go and earn as an apprentice or as a labourer. They can earn the same money being in warmth, being in, whether it's an office, whether it's Tesco's, whatever they're doing, they don't need to be out in the elements to earn the same money that they earn on site. Whereas being on site, you used to earn just that little bit more money than you did with other jobs.
And your work, like it or not, is in the elements.
It's in the elements. So you've got to want to be out there. And sometimes the reason to be out there is because you're earning that little bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas you're not earning that little bit more now because we can't up it to much higher, because then you're catching up with the boys at the top.
Yeah.
So that gap is becoming less and less. So why would you go out on site in the winter, in the summer? Why would you do that when you can earn the same money?
And it's like it or not, to get all the experience they need to do the work that you guys do on a commercial level.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's going to take 5-6 years.
It takes a long time. It takes a lot of commitment. And like I said, the guy who we got, he's a young guy from Swansea who's doing it now. We go the other side of Birmingham. They go past. It was Scotland to go MVQ'd. So one of the guys who used to work with is a young guy called Blake. He's not with us anymore. He's a self-employed guy now. Great, really nice lad. But I think he came over with us when he was like 22, 23. He hadn't left Ammanford when he came and worked for us.
No way.
And the first time he'd ever been to Cardiff was with us. And then he went and done his MVQ in Scotland.
Yeah. That was an eye-opener for him, I bet.
And then he won Apprentice of the Year, and we took him to London to get his award for Apprentice of the Year. Never been to London, never. So that's a challenge for us, is that you have to go so far. They are opening a roofing programme, I think at Bridgend College now, but it's pitched roofing only for the time being. It doesn't include flat. But so that's a big challenge for us, is where we have to send them to train, but also getting them to come through now.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
encouraging people into the construction industry
is really, really hard.
It's a common
and
theme,
I think
yeah.
across the board, it is a massive problem, and it's going to continue to be a big problem.
I think you've got to be of a certain mindset as well to come into the industry. Because you know what it's like. Everyone's going to rib everyone all the time.
They are, yeah.
And you've got to be able to take that.
Yeah.
I think as long as you understand that if someone's taking the mick out of you,
yeah, but they understand that less and less now, Rob, and that's part of the problem.
You're actually quite liked if someone's taking the mick out of you.
You are, yeah, that's the thing. You have got to have a certain personality. But also in this country in general, construction's the lesser. And it's a big, big bugbear of mine, always has been a big bugbear. Why aren't they taught? If you take Greg, for example, who works for us as PM, construction is not always just on site. He went to uni through working for us. He was going to go to university, and I nagged him not to. And David, who actually site manages for us now, when Greg came first into construction with us, he was, as long as you do an AAT or something as well, because it's construction, you know.
Yeah, get the backup.
Get the backup.
Yeah.
But that's not David's fault. That's society's fault, because
that's generational. Because my parents did the same to me.
Yeah, because if you go into construction, it's because you haven't done very well in school. That's the perception. You haven't done very well in school. Oh, you've got to go and be a labourer, or you've got to go and be a roofer, or you've got to be a brickie, because you can't do anything else.
Yeah, it was seen as unskilled labour.
It's unskilled, and it's really frustrating because actually, as I said to you, to be good at what we do, you're talking 6 to 8 years to be a really good felter.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and it's far from easy. You're out in the elements all the time.
It's physical.
It's physical.
Yeah.
It's really, really difficult to do it. And it is a professional trade. And it's started, there is a change. This change is coming. How long that will take, I don't know. And it is starting to be looked at as a more professional industry now.
Yeah.
But I do think that's half the battle. But it's still not changing in schools. It's still not changing in colleges. Colleges are getting a little bit better. They're still not being made aware at GCSE's age, this is a good route.
I'm never going to understand why we see construction as the lesser industry.
I don't understand it at all. I don't have any...
One of the reasons for me doing this is all these podcasts are talking to multi-millionaires and billionaires and celebrities and everything else, who their work isn't real work any longer.
No.
You know, because so their lives, they're seen as aspirational.
Yeah.
But it's not real.
No, it's not.
Whereas talking to someone like you and Joby and the other guests that we've had on, they're self-made people, work in the construction industry. And people need to realise that, A, it's a really worthwhile job.
It is a very worthwhile job.
It can be quite technical.
It can.
But do it well, and it will earn you well.
It will earn you well. It does. In construction and the trades, some of the best paid can be the best paid, some of the best paid people around. But you've got to get to the standard, and you've got to get. I mean, London's always going to be escalated, the money you can earn in London, but it's so underestimated, and it's so frustrating. I went into a school to do a careers day, and we had a little stand on there, and it was basically 10 or 12 students come and sit at your desk. You have a chat to them, they ring the bell, they move on to the next one. And my first question has always been, construction, what is construction to you?
Yeah.
Oh, brickie, laying bricks.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with brickie, nothing wrong with laying bricks. No one thought outside of that. I've got estimators, we've got quantity surveyors, we've got contracts manager. I've got somebody who works completely, Monique does a lot of quality stuff. Social value now is an absolute mind.
Everyone's favourite new subject.
Yeah, but it's procurement law now to carry out social value. So you're gonna see more and more people who come into the industry. There's social value degrees now you can do in university. But there's all of these things within construction. So many different jobs, but if you ask anyone, you go into a school and you do a careers fair, all they know,
building, bricklaying, block laying.
Yeah, that's all they know.
Yeah.
And so who's failing them? Because there are so many other things you can do. You're good at maths, why can't you go and do estimating?
Yeah.
Why can't you be a QS? QS is a really good job. In London, you go London, Dubai. I know people who've gone to Dubai to live. Really good QSs who've done their training here and are living the life of O'Reilly as a QS in Dubai.
Yeah, absolutely.
My biggest fear for what you said, for the industry in general and to see going forward, is that. Why are we not encouraging it? Why are we not pushing the youngsters into it when it's such a big industry? We're always going to need houses. We're always going to need somewhere to live.
There's a lack of correlation, I think, because stock markets, they look at construction,
Yeah.
see that as the barometer of where the economy is going.
Yeah.
If construction is up, the economy must be doing well.
Yeah.
But they look at economy, they look down on construction,
Yeah.
as a profession.
They do, yeah.
Seems mental to me.
It is, yeah.
Seems absolutely crazy to me.
I find it very, very difficult, but I do think it's a really big issue in general in this country.
And then how are we going to resolve it?
I generally don't know, apart from, you've got to start in schools. You've got to start in schools. You've got to start making them understand it's a route. And it's not the lesser route. You've got to let their parents know it's not the lesser route.
Everybody wanted to go to university.
Yes, they did.
But not everybody's academic.
No, they're not. And there's so many youngsters out there who are not academic, who are not going to go to university, who've got such amazing, good quality skills that really could be used within the construction industry. But a lot of them are not pushed towards the construction industry because it's the lesser.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not the career you want.
Oh, they had to go and do that, did it? It's not a career. Didn't do very well, so they went to...
Yeah, you done.
And it's...
You and Joe were done all right out of it, though.
Well, exactly. And
I've done all right
Joe
out of it.
got one GCSE.
And everyone that's sat in that chair has done really well out of it.
Done really well out of it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good industry.
We've got to change the perception of the industry.
The industry's perception needs to be changed. How they do that. But it's got to start from the top. It's got to start... Why isn't it in curriculums? Why is it? You can't teach it, but you can bring it in. You can have an understanding of it. Get them understanding quite early.
We need someone to take over marketing for construction.
Construction, yeah, we do.
Bethan, again.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it more appealing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Because there are days where it isn't appealing at all.
There are days where it's not appealing.
Where it's chucking it down and blowing a gale.
This week,
you've got the added complication of...
I've got a roofing contractors. And this week we're trying to keep people in work where we can with wet weather work, which we haven't got lots of at the moment because we had a good summer.
Yeah.
But there are times it's difficult.
We've got to persuade people into the industry, but there is a little bit of the hangover of, you look at big earthworks, they won't work through the winter, they'll just lay everybody off.
Yeah.
But those guys will come back then from the works that are away, like HS2.
So, yeah.
Those big, huge projects that take on tens of thousands of people. And they'll come back then into the local economy.
Yeah, they will.
And they'll work for the smaller planter guys through the winter.
Yeah, and then they'll go again.
Pick up bits and bobs and then they go again. But they're in so much money when they are away working through the summer that they can afford to do that.
They can afford to do that, and they don't need to earn as much when they're back here in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sort of works. That's fine. It's
There's
always been that way.
not many good carpenters, electricians, plumbers, roofers who are not in work.
Oh no, the good ones are always working.
The good ones are always working.
That's when you know it's really busy because the crap ones are working too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you do. And for us, we know by the phone calls we get from subbies who's available, who's not, what the work's like out there.
Yeah.
That needs to be shown to the youngsters, colleges, people coming through, and like I say, even families. It's a good life to be had and a good earning to be made in all kinds of construction, and we just need to get that more recognised. Really.
Now you're one of the few, obviously.
Yeah.
Women in construction,
yeah, which is rising. But even health and safety, what you do, I'm the same. From what I know, a bit of a dying trade, getting people in to do that. We had a perfect example. We had a young girl who was working for us as an intern last year. Clever girl, picked up everything, And she was really interested when she was putting the RAMS files together for us, and and she was doing other bits, and really, really interested in the health and safety side of it. And so Monique's very good like that, was trying to find a way of getting her on as an apprentice through health and safety possibly. But her dad made the decision that he thought it was best she goes towards accountancy and AAT.
Doesn't make sense.
Don't understand it, because AI will probably do that accountancy or job in the next 10 years, I would imagine.
Yeah, because it does. I had a similar conversation last week involving AI, where someone said to me, well, your industry's dead.
No, it's not, because they can't inspect sites.
There's no subjectivity.
Yeah.
You can't look at something
You can't, no.
and go, oh yeah, I can see how we can do that and do it safely.
Safely, no, you can't. It can't be.
So I don't think it's going to kill the industry. It'll make a difference.
I think it will make a difference, 100%. But there's certain occasions you need to be on site to know how you're going to make that work, health and safety from a safety point of view. You can't do that from a desk.
It's a good tool for planning.
It's a good tool, very good tool for planning, and I do see its pros 100%. But like I say, for me, there's certain elements I need to say, Rob, I need you to go. I don't know. You've got to look at it. You've got to be there. Yeah. Sometimes we can't say we can't do. Yeah, there's always situations I have to do that job.
Yeah,
that job needs doing. The water's absolutely pouring. I've got to get to it. I've got to sort it. But how? And you can only do that by standing there rubbing your head for an hour.
Yeah, yeah. And you had a good one of those job like that the other day. I was talking to Jacob about a job where
Dominion Way, was it?
There's a library inside a warehouse, and there's a leak above it.
We're still rubbing our heads on that one. Yeah.
Okay, so I gave him a couple of ideas on that, and he was going to come back to me. And we had a long conversation about how we were going to safely deal with that job.
Yeah.
Because it's a fragile roof.
It's a fragile roof. So what do you do? I may well have found a product that you can paint from underneath.
I think that's probably one of the better options.
Which is, so I'm waiting for the technical department to get back to me rather than you have to build a scaffolding. But exactly that, how could AI do that? They couldn't. You've got to, you can't.
And even written down, two people can read a question and have two different answers to it. Because of the stupid language you use. Because safety's got its own silly little language.
But again, you're going to get less and less people coming into it because they think that that's the case. And it's not. She, for me, when she came in, just the way she talked and conducted herself, I thought you'd probably be perfect for that kind of role.
Aye.
But actually, her family, in the nicest, and I know her family, lovely family, just thought was probably not the right thing.
And yet, the two HSE inspectors that came into the office for that scheduled appointment to look at the lead works.
Yeah, both women.
Both girls.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. There are more and more women coming into construction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a good thing, I think.
Okay, I haven't got an opinion on that either way. I genuinely don't. So, thinking about the future now.
Yeah.
What sort of targets or markets are we looking to expand into or shift direction and pivot slightly? Have we thought about that yet?
Yeah, we have. I think we're learning that as a contractor, what we do for a contractor our side from a quality social value point of view is actually very good for a company of our size. We're probably quite more advanced than some of our competitors with how much knowledge we have on social value, Building Act, procurement, because we've always been tried to be actively involved in that. And in fairness, our frameworks pushed us to learn more.
Yeah, because you didn't have a lot of options. If you're going to get on the framework.
Principal contractor, your responsibilities become different, so you need to learn quite a lot. And I think I think there's possibly going to be a slight shift in industry. There's a lot of talk out there about design now and who's liable for design, who's not liable for design. And I think that the big main contractors, it's going to go back to smaller contractors working for bigger contractors. We do quite a lot of main contractor work, but I mean even the bigger ones again, because the design element of everything is so shady.
Yeah.
That there are a lot of contractors of our size who just are not ready for that.
Yeah, you spoke about it earlier. Where is the liability?
Where is the liability? And things like the Procurement Act, like you say, got to get delivered. Building Safety Act. There's no one out there delivering that to me. Now, if I hadn't come into contact with the Building Safety Act on a couple of jobs, no one has ever, there's no platform to make me as a contractor aware, this is the building safety, this is now your responsibilities.
Yeah.
They just release it.
Find out on your own.
And find out on your own. And there's a 365-page document or an 865, and find the bits that are relevant to you.
Yeah.
In fairness to the NRSC, National Federation of Roofing Contractors, they're really up in their game in the recent few years in the fact that they are starting to do a lot of technical releases, which is really, really helpful for us because that sifts through these big documents for us and makes it a little bit easier to find out what your responsibilities are and what they're not. But in general, governments release all of these things and nobody's actually got a clue what it is. I mean, social value is a perfect example. We've been doing social value now since 2023.
Yeah.
And we have to upload that to a platform. It's still under review from 2023.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that's because of infrastructure. It's no one's fault particularly. It's just that this is what we need to do and this is what we're going to start doing. And they start doing it, but actually don't think about the infrastructure that's going to be needed to make sure that's done properly, to help people along the way to understand what they need to do. And it is gradually getting better. But I mean, like I say, some of our competitors don't even know what social value is.
No.
Or what they need to do or how they need to do it, because the help has not been out there for them to know. We're just very proactive in those kind of things. And I think because we've been like that, we're probably going to be pushing more towards now the larger main contractors. I think new work we've always avoided new work a little bit. But I think because of what we've got in place, a lot of people, if they're going to build a block of flats in Cardiff now, they'll have a certain amount of social value to deliver. They'll have certain procurement to deliver, but they'll be expecting their subcontractors to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So I've got a feeling that our niche will become more that, because we're set up for that.
Yeah.
Whereas some of our competitors are not going to be. They have to be. Everyone's going to have to be eventually, but the help's not out there to do that. It's gradually getting better. So I think our markets might change a little bit because of that, because of what we're set up to do.
How do you see you and Joby managing change in the business in the future?
Well, we've been changing a lot, and it is difficult. Change is really, really difficult. I think I probably adapt to it a little bit better than Joby does, but it's Job's babe, and Job's that's how it should be done. Let's get there. That's, as I understand, there's a bigger picture to how things. Job's very much, this is what needs to be done, and let's do it that way. I'm very much, this is where we need to be. You may get there that way, I'll get there that way, he gets there that way, as long as we get there.
Does Joby base that on, we've always done it this way?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Whereas you're more of the change engine.
You're more of I'm more, well, there's different ways to get there now.
Yeah.
And sometimes more efficient than me and you know.
Yeah, because if you're not getting new ideas.
Because if you're not getting new ideas, and unfortunately we have got staff who are willing to bring we try to engage staff as much as possible with change and with new ideas. And change is very, very hard. We've been adapting recently in the company with boundaries. And one of the things of a family business is you don't possibly put boundaries in early enough.
Yeah.
Because because you're all family. So you all just go with it.
Well, my brother works here, and Olivia blushes when we talk because of the way we talk to one another.
Because of the way you talk, but what happens is as the years go on, you think it's harder to put those boundaries in place then, because you're working backwards, because the boundaries aren't about you and me and my sister, or me and my niece, or it's when you start to get more and more staff. Yeah. You haven't created those boundaries in the first place, which then push out to all the staff. And then you think, well, we created these. And then you start to get the odd problem here and there. But you possibly created them because your boundaries weren't there in the first place early on. So we've had to implement some changes and some procedure, which is hard. The procedure is now, that gets done first, and then it gets reported to that, and then it goes to there, then it goes to there. Or that's hard for Joe, because he's like, well, I'll just tell him. Yeah, of course. Like, yeah, I know, but it's easier if we go through this procedure. It just works better now. You've got sort of relatively young people though in your project management sort of mid-level team. Yeah, we have, yeah. And they'll bring those ideas forward. They do, and they have brought those ideas, but you've got to buy into them, and it's hard. Yeah. It's hard, for Job, like I say, but I think what we do and we've done works. It did for the generation we were used to, Joby. Yeah. But I think engage with people, engage with your staff to make the changes. They're not as hard if you engage with the people around you to make the changes, because you're doing it together then. The change is coming together. It's not one person or two people at the top saying, well, that's happening. Yeah. We've decided this is what's going to happen, and that's happening. So you're listening to all levels in the company. Yeah, you listen to everybody, because one of the biggest things when you come from where I come from and where Joe comes from is you understand that it takes everyone to make a business work. Yeah. I can't do what I do if they're not doing a good job on site. It's as simple as that. I can't. And they can't do what they do if we're not doing a good job internally. And I think that's the hardest thing when you're changing, is that if you don't all do it together, you become disjointed.
Yeah. It's almost a symbiotic relationship, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And because I know your project team, obviously.
Yeah.
And I speak to them regularly. You've got the younger element in there.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
And
it really helps.
With Tyler and Stefan.
Yeah, it really helps.
Greg's like this sort of, pseudo dad.
He is for his age, he is, yeah, I agree with you, yeah.
And then you've got Jake overseeing them all.
Yeah.
But he spends a lot of his time out
He spends
on the
a lot
ground.
of time out on the ground, Jake. And again, for him, change is different, because he worked with the boys. He was one of the boys, and then he went into contract management, and he still likes to think of himself as one of the boys, but then to a certain extent you can't be.
Yeah.
You've got to find the balance of still...
I think that's one of the most difficult transitions.
Very
From
hard.
working with the guys on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And then sort of being the guy that eventually will have to discipline someone.
Yeah, very hard.
Or tell them what to do and how to do it and everything else. And there might be a bit of backlash there.
It's very, very difficult.
And it's that breaking then, not so much the familiarity, because you want to be still part of that team, but you have to have that separation too.
Yeah.
So I think he's come through that transition now, hasn't he?
He has come through that transition. He finds it a lot easier. And it's really hard as you grow. A few years ago, there was this word corporate around all the time. We need to become more corporate. We need to be... And somebody said to me, no, it might have even been you, I don't know. You need to be more professional.
Yes.
I think it was you. You just need to be more professional. So what we've tried to do over the last few years, which is change, is become more professional.
Yeah.
What I didn't want to do was be corporate.
Exactly.
Because our clients like us, because Joe takes them all a donut when he walks in a meeting.
Yeah.
That's who Joe is. He gives them drumstick lollipops, and he's 10 minutes late, Joe, for every meeting he's late for. And I'll be sitting waiting for him in the meeting. He walks in with a packet of drumstick lollipops, and everyone in the room goes, "Oh, fantastic, great, thanks." And I'm sitting there thinking, he's late though. Why aren't you annoyed he's late? It's we don't want to lose that.
No.
We don't. But you do have to become more professional. You do have to put more things in writing. You do have to put, which we never used to. You do have to cover yourselves in all sorts of elements and ways that we never used to have to.
Yeah.
But it's finding that right balance.
And one of the more recent changes we made with you guys is looking professional from the roadside.
Exactly. You did, yeah. Yeah.
Again, it's a perception.
It's a perception. Yeah.
Whereas, you'll see the kaplunk scaffolding on someone's house on the high street, and then two guys running around in just a pair of shorts and trainers.
It's frustrating.
Changing the tiles on the roof. And you just think, how the hell are you doing that on my road?
Another biggest frustration, I think, for all of us, and even Joby's frustration now, is we do what we do, and you drive around and then you look and think, well, okay, I lose jobs. We'll send you a job and we'll lose a job.
Yeah.
And you take it on the chin, we lost the job. But then when you drive past that job
and see it happening,
and you see there's not a toilet, there's no welfare,
yeah,
all the things that you've priced for within your job, which probably lost you the job, are actually not. We follow CDM, we follow.
Yeah, well, to do it right is expensive.
To do it right, it's expensive. But then when you lose a job and you drive past and you see none of that, how can you compete with that?
But this is one of my whinges about the industry specifically. Is there's no recourse then to go back to the client.
There's no consistency in it at all. There's no, and like you say, there's no recourse. We can't tender. I've tendered that job, I've lost it. I can't then go back to that client and say, well, can you look at me next time? Because obviously they were cheaper because they didn't allow for that. Site managers is a perfect example. We have site managers wherever we can.
Yeah.
People don't.
No.
They don't. Now,
do it with a triple S and it'll be fine.
We never used to do it as much when we were working on schools when there were no children in school. We work on a lot of live working schools now. And for me, if you're on a live working building, you need someone on the ground.
Absolutely.
But we price it in and we lose work.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And that's where you say about change. We did actually have a conversation internally recently where we said, do we go back a bit? Do we? Because if we're not winning the work, do we try and look at it and say, do we change again and take a step back?
And I can understand the reasoning in thinking that.
But everyone, in fairness, went, no.
Yeah.
Now, probably 5-10 years ago, Joe would have gone, well, we'll have to. But even Joe went, no.
No,
because We're doing it right, though.
You are doing it right, yeah. And that is, it's a major factor.
It's a major factor,
Yeah.
And I do think the industry will go there in general. It's just when it gets there.
The industry can be slow.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, when we were just having a chat, CDM regulations was 2015, and no one really took it seriously until after COVID, 2021.
Yeah.
It was sort of, oh yeah, we know it exists, but
we don't know our responsibilities, and we don't know what we're supposed to do under it, and we do,
I think the biggest problem now is the clients still don't understand their liabilities.
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely. We definitely find that.
And unbelievably, the Building Safety Act is going to make it your responsibility.
Yes, it is.
To tell the client.
Everyone's got responsibility. Yeah, to tell the client.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
and that's the way the sort of legislative acts tend to work.
Yeah.
It'll get dumped on the contractor. Everything will be made your fault.
Yeah.
So the client, you know you're at fault for this. Yeah, but you're carrying that liability. And then you bring on subcontractors, and they say, yeah, but we're not carrying the liability for this, mind you are. And everything's your fault.
And it's fine.
Your name's above the door. Everything's your fault.
It is, and I think the upsetting thing for me about that goes back to people coming into the construction industry. The thought, if you've got two guys, starting on their own, coming into the construction industry, they start working on a couple of sites, and all of a sudden they realise that all of that responsibility for certain elements of that job, why would you, at that stage, why would you want to do that? Why? Because you don't know, you don't understand it, you don't know. You haven't got the knowledge. No one's taught you that. You're just really good at carpentry, or you're just really
Imagine going back to the beginning and thinking, right, we're going to go on our own and we're going to work under our own name. And then you get invited into a pre-start meeting.
I couldn't even begin to imagine.
And half of the stuff they're asking for is just someone asking for it.
It's just someone asking for it.
It's not part of the legislation.
Yeah, and that's the other bugbear, is how much do we do that is a tick box exercise?
Yeah.
And when they bring in all these different regs and all these, and then we adhere to them, and then your response back from main contractors, clients, and everything is very much that, oh great, we've ticked the box there.
Yeah.
You think, do you realise how much it took us to get to that? Do you realise what work we've had to put in to get to be able to do that? And you're just actually...
And don't even get me started on accreditations from the likes of...
Oh, yeah, it's mad. We've got so many. And like you said to me before, why do you need so many? I don't understand why you need so many.
Because the system was designed for you to have one.
Yeah.
An SSIP was supposed to be universal.
Yeah.
There were 4 or 5 offerings out there.
Yeah.
But they all accepted each other's.
Yeah.
And it was one system that was universal.
But we get different clients who want one and another client who wants another.
Now they're at 50.
Yeah.
And you got one client signed up to one lot and another client signed up to another lot. So you end up with 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Different accreditations that are all the same thing.
And it's literally most of the time so someone can tick a box.
Stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah, I agree with you, yeah.
3 of the major ones are based relatively locally, are the same people using the same computers in the same office.
Yeah, which is madness.
But badge themselves as 3 different SSIPs.
Yeah.
It's a con.
And you pay for every single one of those.
Drives me mad.
Yeah. It is a bugbear of ours.
Well, yeah, the company size of yours, I bet you're paying what?
Oh, we
£3,000,
pay. Yeah, we pay
£5,000?
such a lot of money. Yeah, we pay such a lot of
Every
money
year?
for all of these. Oh, yeah.
If for each one.
Yeah, exactly. For all
It
of
drives
them.
me mental.
And again, we lose work to contractors that haven't got them.
Doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense at all. It's hard. But as I said, in saying that, it gives us a good life. It gives us.
Yeah.
Hopefully our children will go on to have pretty decent lives with it, and all of our staff, and it is a rewarding industry, and you do get a lot from it. So hopefully it will continue. And continue strong. But they just need to encourage it more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't know where it needs to be led from, but it doesn't. Someone needs to deal with it, and whether it is.
They do. I mean, my brother lives in Australia. Electrician in Australia, a god. You're treated like a doctor.
Really?
Honestly, construction in Australia is so highly thought of. So highly thought of.
And yet, as we discussed, it's looked down upon.
It's looked down upon here, and that shift needs to be changed.
Well, hopefully by doing
stuff like this, hopefully
we can educate people.
Yeah, you can educate people that yes, it's hard work, but what if you get something out of something and you have a good life, it tends to be hard work.
Yeah.
So, you've got to take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Nothing easy was ever rewarding, was it?
No, it wasn't. It's not, and yeah, we put long hours in, and you know, I'm starting to get a little bit less of the long hours now, which is nice. But then Jake, Greg, other staff are putting them in now, not me as much.
Yeah.
So it does take a lot, and it takes a lot of commitment, but there's a lot of reward from it. You just got to, dig deep.
Okay, one last killer question. How do you manage conflict in the business?
Difficult. Yeah. And again, that comes from lack of training. Comes from lack of training when you start a business. We were talking earlier before we did this, and my way of learning about leadership has been very much podcast, YouTube videos.
Yeah, the informal
I'm not a reader, the
route,
informal route. And that's what's great now about podcasts, is there's so many ways to learn. Whereas you used to have to go to college or you had to go and do a course, there's so many ways to learn. And that, even the question when you asked what I would tell myself earlier, that's probably again another good answer to that is learn about leadership. If you're going to employ, learn about leadership. It's really important. Every single person in my office works differently.
Yeah.
And requires a different way for me to teach them or train them or speak to them to get the best out of them. Everyone. There's not one the same.
No, because they're individuals. Yeah.
And that's my responsibility to learn that.
Yeah.
To get the best out of people. If we're going to employ people, then I need to learn how to get the best out of those people.
So
not
you can
keep
have difficult
expecting them to
conversations?
change. Yeah, because then you have the difficult conversations become easier because you know how to adapt that difficult conversation. The conflict you're always going to find really difficult ones, I think, and really hard ones, especially in family business, because the dynamics are slightly different.
Yeah.
But it is challenges. I think conflict is very, very challenging. We've definitely become more professional about it now. We do use our HR consultants a lot more now than we ever did for conflict.
Got no choice now.
Because we are in the day and age where you got to be very careful what you say and do, and what so we always now go get advice on that. We get advice on conflict, and
Society's more litigious now.
It is, yeah. So we do take a lot of advice, but I do believe if you've got the right relationship with your staff, normally you can address conflict to each individual how you know it'll work for them.
Yeah.
Or for the two different people.
Do you let it escalate through departments? Do you sort of...
Now we do. We
management and then before it gets to your desk?
We do now, yeah. And again, that's something as a company, because we're family business, we didn't used to do that. No. We do now. We raise non-conformities now.
Do you find yourself having to hold back and stay out of things?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's hard, yeah. It's hard. Joby finds it more difficult than me now.
Right.
Because I think because he's been on site, he's been doing what people do. So
and
if it's
always
a site
been more
issue,
direct.
If it's a site issue and it's an issue on site, we can solve this in 10 minutes.
I'll go and call him something rude.
We can solve this in 10 minutes. But the long term of that is you're not solving the core of the problem. We need to get to the core of the problem. And the way to get the core of the problem is go through this process, which can be more difficult. But it's definitely one of the most, I think when you're in a corporate company or you're in a larger, very early on, these things are set out.
Yes.
You've got a HR
employee
issue, that's
handbooks.
how it is. You've got an employee, we've got an employee handbook, but when you're a family business, in the nicest possible way, your first ever employee handbook, you've ticked a box.
Yeah. Well, there's 10 of you running round. There's no employee handbooks.
You're ticking
they
them.
Don't exist.
They don't, exactly. You probably should buy into that a little bit earlier and understand that they're there for a reason. And we haven't followed those processes enough. So when you come to the change of you want to follow them, everyone's a bit shocked.
Yeah.
Because the handbook's been there for years, but actually you get to a point in business as you grow and we really need to follow the procedure in the handbook. Yeah. And then everyone's shocked about the procedure in the handbook because it's actually, we've always just been, we'll have a chat. So we're doing the less of I have a chat.
And as you know, I like going down that formal standard operating procedures route.
Yeah.
And sort of to the point that we formalise works almost.
Yeah.
That's how we do that job. That's how we do that job.
And that's how.
And then we've got checklists and that back all of that up. And I love all of that because, I'm a little bit anal and that's the way my brain works.
But it does make sense. Something as simple as, we've had a few accidents recently, vehicle accidents. I had none for years, and now all of a sudden we've had a few vehicle accidents, And you go to, I'm not sure. So now we're doing a standard operating procedure for, if you have an accident, this is what you need to do.
Yep.
But sometimes you're reactive rather than proactive, so because we've never had accidents, we never really thought about it, to be quite honest with you, And
You've
now over the last year, we've had
reactive.
a couple, we better
just formalise that.
This is the procedure for that.
Yeah, again, don't go the corporate route. So it's too formal. Just professionalise it.
Professionalise it, and that's so we're trying to do that at the moment. But like you said, we've tried to do that with conflict now, in that there is that route. Okay, you need to report that to so and so. They're reported. Hopefully, it can be dealt with there. You have a chat, or you do what you do. It gets reported there, and hopefully that's the end of it. But if it doesn't, then it goes to there, and if it still doesn't work, then it comes here.
Yeah.
And then
so even though you've got to that sort of 40 odd, nearly 50 members of staff, you're still learning.
We're still learning.
Still transitioning.
It's
always going up.
It's consistent. And generations change you again.
Yeah.
Every time we employ, you're employing a different generation. The generation now works so differently and expects so much more and thinks very differently to the generation after that and the generation after that. And that's one of the biggest things of change within business, is learning to
manage.
Yeah, 100%.
Manage those.
Because like you said earlier, if you can learn to have the banter, you'll banter to someone now who's in their 30s, bring someone in their 20s now, that's not banter.
They will find that offensive.
They'll find it offensive.
Yeah.
And you don't mean anything, but genuinely, you genuinely don't mean anything by it. But
you don't mean harm by it.
And then that creates change. Okay, we need to change the way we deal with that now. But sometimes you don't know until you're learning the hard way.
Yeah. Again, reactive.
Instead of proactive. Yeah.
But it's difficult to be proactive in that sense.
It really is, yeah.
Because you don't know it's a problem until you stumble across it.
Until you stumble across it. No, you don't. Yeah.
I had a conversation with Kurt the other week, and he was saying about he's 3 years into his business.
Yeah.
And constantly learning, always stumbling across something else that's an issue to either personnel or finances or bookkeeping or admin.
Yeah.
And sort of where does that mentorship come from now? To bring new people into the business as company directors, so that there's an industry coming behind us.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't think there's a system now.
There isn't, no.
Available. You've got, your business, small business clubs, and you've got networking business clubs and everything else.
Yeah, you've got networking and...
So you can, there's probably a peer group that you can voluntarily go to.
But that's presuming you are of that nature.
Yeah.
I was never of the nature to walk into a room of loads of people who are other small business-like people, probably the nicest people in the world. But I, just as a human being, never, probably when I look back now, probably didn't have the confidence to walk into a room and go, oh yeah, I'm part of J. Randall Roofing. I wouldn't have known what to say. I wouldn't. And there's lots of me's. There's lots of people like that who will not go to networking events. How do we reach the people that are struggling?
An old boss made me go. He wasn't available for a few weeks because he was going on holiday, and he said, I want to continue this. Will you go on my behalf?
Yeah.
And I was not happy there.
Yeah.
At all. But I went along, and you got used to it.
And you get used to it, and then you get, you learn to be in that environment. There's lots of people.
Not with me. I learned to hate it more than anything else. I didn't enjoy it at all.
I still don't particularly like it. Greg's very good at it, and I don't particularly. But again, find the people who've got the strengths to do it.
Yeah, and like we said earlier on, it's one of those things where you take the bits that you find useful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the ones that you can do, and the ones that you can't do, and the ones that. The environments, there's environments, that they do a lot of them in Cardiff now. They go to Flight Club, and I'm not going to go do that. But then there might be another one that I can go to, so you pick and choose the ones you're going to, and like you say, you do what's best for each individual.
I'm a miserable git. The less sociable, the better for me.
I am similar. I'm like, do I have to? Do I have to go?
I don't enjoy it.
Whereas again, Monique is brilliant. My sister's absolutely brilliant.
I've met people in the ones that I have been forced to go to, and I'm still friends with them years later.
I think the art of being able to speak to people in that way is underestimated. I think it is such a good quality. I don't have that quality. I'll get on a train with my sister from here to London. She will make someone's day better. 100%. I don't want to speak to anyone on a train. I'll put my headphones in. Why are you speaking to me? It's just, I'm not saying I'll change that about myself, but when I could be with my sister on that train. What I do appreciate is the person that she spoke to on that train gets off that train with a spring in their step, because my sister's interested in their life.
Yeah, she's really perky though when she's
Yeah, she
worried.
is.
Yeah,
But without people like that,
yeah, exactly.
You know?
It's a kaleidoscope, isn't it?
it is. Without people like that, I think it's a real quality. I
Yeah.
haven't got it.
Beth is really positive all the
Are
time.
you? It's such a good quality. I'm not deliberately not like it. It just doesn't come naturally.
I'm dragging
to
her
me.
down to my level eventually.
Are you?
Yeah, it might take a while, but I am dragging her down.
It really is a fantastic. I say to my sister all the time, it's a fantastic quality. I mean, you can over talk and you can over.
Yeah.
But it's a really good quality, and people want to speak to her. People want to give her information. People want her to come to these things.
She is very engaging.
Yeah, very engaging. Yeah.
Well, great. That's that. It was a brilliant conversation. Thank you very
Okay,
much for coming in.
Thank you. No
I do
problem at all.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Join us again soon for another episode of Ordinary Working Joe.